Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Dex podcast. I'm accompanied by my producer, DJ Studio Man, which you cannot see, but you can hear.
You can.
You can. And and special guest Nick Waters from Waters Woodworking Corp or Corporation? Is it Corp short for corporation?
Yes, S Corp, small corporation.
Okay, all right, gotcha. All the way from, where are you located again?
The 603, New Hampshire.
I mean, I was just there last week, but I wasn't sure. I don't want to say that and then be like, oh no, dude, I just came to the show, but I'm actually located, in Boston or somewhere else. So it's better if you say it.
All right, fair enough.
So, fair enough. So, the reason Nick's on our podcast today is I met him at the International Builder Show at the FastenMaster Booth, and Nick had been following, I'm not sure for how long he'd been following along with Dr. Dex, but started talking to Nick, and man, for his age, he has a really interesting backstory. And if you guys listen at all to this thing, you know that's kind of where I'm at with this, is getting to learn about the people that are on our show. So Nick, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate you and your time. And why don't you give us a quick rundown of your current status, company-wise, and what you're up to right now?
So current status would be, it's winter in New England. We're just getting through that. It's been, and we had a real New England winter this year. It was, snow every weekend. It's pretty tough. A lot of people, like a lot of friends or whatever, have been like, yeah, it's like, almost coming out of the fog, the veil is lifted. But like business wise, I was fortunate enough. I was one of the few businesses, like I was busier than ever this winter. And like, a status of where I'm at with like my business is, I scaled a little bit in this winter.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of beat me up, man. I was a little bit burnt out. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, it did. Just
as it should, I suppose, right? It never comes easy, man.
Well, live and learn too, and not for nothing too. Like I started doing a little bit of content, more I should say, around the IBS showtime, and I've just taken like just a small step back from like scaling and content, just to like, what's the focus? The nice season's coming up. So status is, we're just wrapping up a few jobs, getting ready to do decks from like mid-April to, hopefully when it freezes again.
Okay, so what do you focus on? Like, explain to me. I mean, we're going to get more into this, but just quickly, what's your yearly ratio of like workload to what you do, to your skill set? I mean, like you said, decks. Obviously, this is a deck building podcast, but so you do that in the summer or as weather allows, right?
Yes.
So what do you do in the fall and winter and early spring? What are you guys doing then?
So I'll give you an example now. Like right now, we're wrapping up I think like a 33 square cedar shake job where we used like true exterior Borel. We did all the trim, all the gable, the rakes, using pump jacks, pipe staging.
So you're doing exterior siding?
Yes.
Okay, just for listeners that don't maybe know the lingo, because you're pretty hardcore on that right now. Like I picked up on it, but maybe some others may not. So you're doing exterior and you're doing really high quality product on the outside of the house.
For this one, yeah, we were fortunate enough, but like I did an addition, subcontracted the foundation, excavation work, we framed it, and then had the rest of it was kind of like, yep, you guys do that. Did another remodel, because up here in New England, the average home price is around $500,000. So new homes are like, it's just a different industry to get into, as a new construction builder. Yep. And I'll tell you about like, I was in that industry. That's how I got into the construction game in the first place, was new construction framing. So a lot of remodels, I have, my crew has a kind of a wide skill set, but like even like my youngest guy, Cody, he worked exclusively for deck builders up here for the past 5 years. And, when the weather does break finally, it's just a good market. And when we like to do the best, man, I love it.
Yeah, we'll get into it. So how many employees do you have currently?
I have 3 full-time and I call them mercenaries, but I have a lot of subcontractors who are guys with like their own work. So I'd say it's a total of like 5 right now, that are like working either with me, for me directly, but full time it's like 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right. All right. So, have you always are born and raised in the Providence area, or where are you from originally?
I was born in a small, I think, county or town called Erlanger, Kentucky. So I'm a Southern transplant up here, but
Okay.
my first memories were in New Hampshire. So I'm a New England kid for sure.
Okay. And what year were you born?
1994.
94, which would make you
32.
how? Okay, I was getting there. It's been a long week. Sometimes you sleep like a baby. And then there's sometimes where you just get up 5 minutes, 10 minutes before the crack of your alarm does, And that's usually where I'm at in my REM and all that sleep stuff. And then there's some weeks, man, that you're up looking at the alarm clock every hour until you have to get up, and then you're up 45 minutes before your alarm. That's the kind of week it was for me this week. So if I get a little stupid or sideways or left or whatever, sorry. It is what it is. You guys have to live with it. Because I'm just a little sleepy. But anyway, not about me. It's about you, Nick. So how long were you, Louisiana, you said?
Kentucky.
Sorry. I'm so astute. How long were you there for in Kentucky?
To be honest, I don't know. I know I was under a year old before I came up here.
Oh, okay.
Not
Okay.
long.
So basically you've been here most of your life.
Yep. 31 years at least.
All right. And Providence, Rhode Island it's fairly small, right?
Yeah, Rhode Island's about 3 hours from me. I'm in New Hampshire. Basically New England's we can all drive to each other. I had a friend in Texas who's like, you could drive through all of New England before you hit Oklahoma. So
Crazy.
yeah, it's nice.
But it's cool. I mean, it's very constant. Like you said, it's very concentrated. A lot of old architecture. Can you answer me this? I know I'm getting off topic already, but how come the homes on the East Coast don't have any eaves on the sides of the houses?
That's a good question. I think like the blown out rake style, the New England style, they call it a cape, is like, or the colonial.
Yeah.
It's just like even new construction homes, the architectural designs are all the same and similar. And I think a lot of it's for like snowfall, because we do have to prepare for a lot of snow and like that to run off, and whether you put like snow guards or this year a lot of people are like, yep, we need higher pitched roofs because ice dams did a lot of damage.
Well, okay, understood. Okay, that makes sense. But doesn't it rot the walls out of the house?
I mean, I'm always a fan of like gutters, but not really. It's all situational.
I mean, like on the side, like you have this high pitched house like this, but as the roof goes, it's like it stops and it's just a straight wall down. There's no eave that goes past the edge of the house.
Oh, that was your question. So we call that a blown out rake. Here in New Hampshire, most houses do have like an eave, but you're right, there are a lot of. So what I noticed in Rhode Island, in the Connecticut area, is like some of those homes are even older than New Hampshire homes. Don't get me wrong. New Hampshire has homes just as old, but the more fancy design like around that area, and you see it in New Hampshire too, just, I don't know, like they didn't put lookouts in when they framed it. It's really impressive, like an 1800s house, because you'll see sometimes like stumps in the basement, but it's a good question. Wow. I don't know if I have a good answer for it, honestly.
It blows me away, and my wife gets tired of me saying something. Go, look at these homes. There's none of these houses have an eave off the side of the house. It just stops. It's just straight. And if that was like that in my state, we'd be replacing walls everywhere, because the water would just permeate right through the side. Right where that connection from the rafter that goes down, the siding starts right under that. And I was like, there's no way you're going to keep that dry. It just blows me away. But maybe it's different there. I don't know. I was just curious. Okay, we'll leave that up for another day. So what was elementary school and junior high? How did that all go for you? Like, were you all in the same city?
So We moved around a lot. My mom
Okay.
would kind of relocate a lot. She did the best she could, but we were a little all over the place. Like I spent like I think a sixth grade year in northern Florida. Spent some like I did an eighth grade year in Mississippi. Did a couple towns in the city in like the state of New Hampshire, like Rochester. Exeter is where I was lucky enough to go through high school with. But early years, it's kind of all over the place.
Okay, so you weren't just moving from city to city. You guys were moving from like state to state.
Right.
So you were going to a lot of different grade schools and junior high schools and whatnot as you're going up.
Oh yeah, and it was a lot different too, because like when I was in sixth grade when I went to Mississippi, and like the curriculum down there, it was math that I had learned in like fourth grade.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
Yeah. So New England's.
So I was just about to ask you, hey, whatever, education's education. But I was going to ask you, did that make it more difficult for your studies? Or would, like you said, I guess maybe in some spaces it made it easier depending on where you were?
Academics wise, I was always the kid who you had to like force to his homework. It was harder for friendships, like long term,
Yeah, I bet you're always moving around. So it makes it really hard to become friends with people. So how, when in these school systems that you were in, I always ask this question to everybody, and I don't know if anybody else is interested or not, but I am. I'm just curious how your grade school system worked comparative to your junior high, comparative to your high school, as far as, was it K through 5 or K through 6? Was it, 7th and 8th was middle school, or was 7th, 8th, and 9th? How did it break down for you?
Great question, because there are small towns in the state of New Hampshire that are K through 12, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, wow.
What?
Yeah.
That wasn't my case. So in Exeter, they had like 1st through 5th or K through 5.
Okay.
6th through 8th. That was middle school.
Okay.
And 9 through 12 was high school.
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. When I came from, it was a little bit different. Not much. It's just we had like K through 6, and then 7th, 8th, and 9th, and then junior or high school, you were a sophomore, 10th, 11th, 12th.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if there's a benefit or a detriment to either of those philosophies or how that works. Or I don't even know, Calvin, when you were here, that was the same way, wasn't it? Or no, was it just, what was your middle school? Was it just 7th and 8th?
It was 6th through 8th, but I switched school after 7th.
Right.
They lumped us in 9th grade with 8th grade, so we were at a middle school, but the 9th grade went to your transcript, your high school transcript, so it was technically high school, and then when we bumped to the other side of that school, it was 10, 11, 12.
So you were basically in junior high, but doing high school classes?
I guess so.
You were physically at the junior high, but oh, that's crazy. Yeah, interesting.
I think they just didn't have room for us because like the graduating class is like 1,500 each year.
When I went there, it was 580 or something like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, they kept building it out.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So you said you were able to go to high school like in one location?
Pretty much. So the way like Exeter High School works is it's like 5 surrounding towns and Exeter, and they all go to one high school.
Oh, okay. And what state is that in?
It's in New Hampshire.
Okay. All right. So you're back in New Hampshire, and you're going to this high school that you're drawing from like different counties and cities and stuff. And what was that like for you? Were you into sports, or are you into studies, or you're into what?
I would say like the first half of my high school career, did wrestling, did football. And I was never like the star, like 8th grade year of wrestling into my freshman year of high school. I went from like nose guard to wide receiver or like, defensive end. So that was a little tough, I went, because I wasn't the biggest anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as far as like the later half of high school, I kind of graduated by the skin of my teeth. I wasn't the best kid.
Okay. All right. Well, you made it. Good for you. So academics wasn't your jam probably in your junior senior years, or?
I was the kid that could take the tests well, but ask him to do the homework, kind of thing. I was a little bit all over the place, with whether you want to say ADD or ADHD. And I started getting in trouble, to be honest, my last 2 years of high school.
Okay. All right. Started down a different pathway, I suppose.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So you do graduate.
Yes.
Okay, good for you. A lot of our guests, some of them have not. They've become very successful and not have a high school, or they got their equivalent or their GED or whatever, and that's great. But even when I graduated back in 1987, and it wasn't easy. Like, it wasn't a cakewalk to graduate high school. You had to still meet certain requirements and do certain things. But how was the GED?
GED was like pretty much like ninth grade level stuff from what I gathered. Maybe a little bit of 10th. Like, I never finished 11th, 12th, but like I didn't really have a hard time with it.
Yeah. Calvin opted out early and went to Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California, instead of doing his senior year of high school.
Smart man.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was pretty cool. Hey, you know what you want to do? Like, cool, man. Let's go. Like, why stay here? A lot of cliques, things like that.
Cliques?
Cliques, like groups of people that like hung out together in different. Maybe they were labeled as preppies or jocks.
Oh, cliques. Are you asking in my?
Yeah.
That hasn't like ever gone away pretty much. The sports people hang out with the sports people because they're around sports people all the time. Yeah. There was like the band kids. There wasn't anything like greasers or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of like the weird outcast kids, which I fell into a little bit, but I don't know. No one really like messed with me because I was part of the drum line, and everyone liked the drum line. So
and he was badass. So he was like first chair, and he had long ass hair too. Is like it's so funny because the high school that my son went to is the school I went to, but 30 years ago, and it was so awesome to see Calvin up there killing it. And like it was like all the kids would be doing the drum stuff, and it's kind of cool. And all of a sudden, Calvin walks up, man, and he's like just kicking and he's swinging his hair, and he's just banging on the drums, and people are like, "Holy crap, who's this?" And then after the show, I might go up and give him a hug or high five, and then some of my old friends and their kids are go to the same school, and they're like, "That's your son?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my son, man. He's a really good drummer, huh?" And but that was just really awesome to always see that. But it's interesting. How things work out sometimes. Like, if you realize that's not your path and you want to go out and do it some other way, then go for it. You got your high school equivalency, so why not?
Right.
Okay. All right, Nick. So you graduate high school, and do you go to college?
No, and I just want to clarify. I graduated high school because they got rid of this program the year after I graduated, where they called it, like, there was Exeter High School, then there was Flexeter. They basically took the bad kids, stuck them in a different, like the old high school, and said, just don't get in trouble and show up like 75% of the days, and we'll give you a diploma equivalent.
Wow.
I got lucky.
So that's the one you went to?
Yeah, for half of my junior year and half of my senior year.
What? Okay, so when you say half, what do you mean by that? Like, do you go to regular high school for half and then to that other school? I
tried it again senior year, and both times I made it through first semester barely, got in trouble, and went back over there.
Okay. Well, at least they had an option for you, huh?
Right. And a lot of kids got diplomas that, and it was a place too where like just certain kids that just didn't mesh well with like being around, like Calvin said, 1,500 people,
Yeah, I think that's more of an issue nowadays because there's just more people on the earth, and there's so much more that is being diagnosed. Some of it, yeah, okay, and some of it's like, I don't know. But like seems like some of the kids that were really hyper back in my upbringing, they may not have been diagnosed properly or never were diagnosed at all, and they just had to go through life dealing with it. Where nowadays, there's like a definition for just about anything that is an ailment, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in the way of like big pharma, they've decided, oh, we're going to cash in on this.
That's interesting you say that, because when I was young, I was shy.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult, I'm socially anxious, and there's pills for that.
Right.
So, when did I stop becoming shy and socially anxious? I feel the same way.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
It's when people decided that let's turn that into something we can profit on.
Yes, there you go. That's kind of.
When was it kids just being hyper, and now they all have ADHD?
Man, I used to play soccer. I used to play soccer with this kid, and this wasn't a school sponsored activity. It was like a weekend thing or after school thing, but it wasn't like sponsored through the school district. There was this one kid, and when he got on the field, man, he became an animal, and he was always getting like flagged and like penalized. And one time he screamed so loud that this guy was gonna go kick the ball for like a penalty kick or something, and he come running up at the guy and he screams at him, and red flag. But I'm pretty sure that guy had something going on, but there was no diagnosis for it, so we just let him play. He was actually an asset to the team, but it's kind of interesting to see how that happens to people, and what is the diagnosis now, and how is that going to be treated, and so on and so forth. And I don't have all the answers. Like, I'm a fictitious doctor. I don't have any educational background on this kind of thing, but it just seems like somehow you're right, Calvin, that the companies have decided, whoa, if we label this something, then we can make a cure for it, or something that'll keep you on it for the rest of your life.
So what I remember from my time at school, because there was a shift at some point, I noticed, in the language. Young kids, they were just kids. They're hyper and had a lot of energy and were spazzes, and people are like, oh, you can't pay attention in school. Do kids want to be at school? They want to like run around and play, and I remember having a hard time like paying attention. I mean, I was forced to be there. I think you remember like kindergarten age, I was crying all the time because I really didn't want to be there.
Yeah, you didn't want to be at school.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be around those kids. Yeah, that was one of the hardest days that Mom and I had, was when we had to leave you in kindergarten and walk away. And finally the teacher's like, we got this. I'm like, yeah, that's what you're being paid for. So off we go, But damn, that was tough. I know we're way off topic here, but thanks for participating, Cal, because it's good.
Well, think about it. Now they medicate kids all the time and diagnose,
No comment. I could go on the whole podcast about this. I was given Ritalin as a kid. My mom saw me in the back seat and was like, I don't like my kid just staring out the window and acting like a robot. Nope, we're done with this. And thank God she did.
Yeah. Good on her, man. I mean, there's got to be like, can you do a half a dose or maybe a quarter dose or something like that?
Me, it's all or nothing.
Yeah, you are pretty energetic. You're high level, and that's why I guess, and your personality is kind of magnetic.
I have a crazy idea. What if we let kids develop their brains before we put chemicals in it?
I think it's a great idea.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And I was going to say earlier about the cliques, you hung out with the jocks or the whatever. I always hung out with the beer drinkers.
Yeah.
That was my clique in high school. But I managed to get through it all, fairly unscathed, which I guess I'm lucky that way. But anyway, back to Nick. You get through high school one way or another. What do you do next? What's next for Nick?
Well, Nick doesn't go to college, and the whole way through high school, I'm told this thing that like, if you don't go to college, you're kind of a loser, and there's not much options. And again, like I told you, I didn't really do too well in like high school. I wasn't really into it towards the end, getting in a lot of trouble. So skip past high school. I took getting into trouble into kind of full time, and just really I became a drug addict. And,
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Okay, so we're gonna save some of this for our Patreon episode. Okay, so if you want to hear the full story about Nick's path down, maybe not so positive way, go and subscribe to our Patreon channel, and you'll get to hear that. We're gonna glaze over it a little bit for now, Nick, but let's give us why don't you give us a short story? How did that start, and how did it become such a negative thing? Like, were you just like recreationally partying at first, or did you get into a group of people that introduced you to this stuff, or what?
Yeah, a little bit of both, just group of people. And I kind of just would always be the one to take it too far a little bit. Or, I got an injury on my foot and they gave me, some pain medicine, and, it was kind of off to the races after that or something, and I was fortunate enough to get in and out of it. Like, if you'd say it was 17 to like 21. But yeah, it was a rain of fire, it was no fun. It got progressively worse and worse and worse very fast.
Very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so you're 17 years old and you get into a party, drugs, whatever. And we don't judge here, so I appreciate you being honest and sharing your story with us, because I'm very grateful for that, and I respect that. But so how did you survive or function? How did you function being an addict? Like, what is that like for somebody when do you feel lost, or do you feel hopeless, or do you have aspirations? Do you work? What's it like?
So this is a great question. And let me know when you want to, because I could go on about this again, whole episode. Let me know what you would want to keep in here and do Patreon. But the brief version of it is what it looks like in younger education. I don't feel like I feel a part of. If there's a room full of 20 people and there's one person that doesn't like me, I forget about the 19 people that like me, and I only focus on the one who doesn't.
Focus on the one person that doesn't like you.
Right. Not feeling really a part of, and I was, I just moved around a lot. And just really it's almost like I had something in my head that lied to me in my own voice. I did have a job at first, a lovely job at McDonald's when I was 19.
Hey, a lot of people made great careers on that one.
They did.
You know what I heard? Today?
What?
Not to cut you off. And I read this on Instagram, so I don't know if it's true or not, but they said 1 out of 8 people in the United States at one time or another have worked at McDonald's in their lifetime.
Let's go.
I was like, there's no way that many people have worked for McDonald's. Right? But what did you do at McDonald's? What was your jam, man? Did you clean the ice cream? Did you clean the ice cream machine? Because I heard they need some people.
Not once.
McFlurry, McMold. Okay, but you flip burgers.
Yeah.
Can you make a really good burger now?
I mean, yeah, but they have a burger press. It's so dummy proof. It's not even funny.
Really? Is it like real beef in there, or what? Is it all just come from cardboard boxes and bags, or what?
They're like frozen pucks of pink slime.
Okay, and then but were you good at making French fries?
Oh, come on,
dude. Seriously, a good McDonald's fry, nice and hot with the right amount of salt on it. I could leave right now and go get a what do you call it? A carton? What are those? Like a super size. I love those things, and I haven't had them. Dude, I regret it every time I do, but I haven't had a McDonald's French fry in I've had fries. Last week, I had fries with a hamburger, but it wasn't McDonald's. But those they did kind of get that down to a science, didn't they?
They must have. Good.
Yeah, they sell a lot of that stuff. Okay, so what'd you do? So were you partying at when you worked at McDonald's?
By the time I made it then, it was a little bit of partying, but that's when it started to look a little different. It started to look a little bit more like, using painkillers alone, or drinking alone, smoking with 1 or 2 people, or just a smaller group of people, because that's where it started to progress a little bit,
Spiral down.
Yeah.
That's where we're gonna stop because I want to hear I want to hear this story, but we're gonna save it for Patreon.
Perfect.
Because if I don't want you to have to share anything you don't want to with everybody, but with 10 people, sure, why not? We can get a little more comfortable. So you said you had issues from like age 17 to like what, 21?
Yep.
22 or okay. So not really a super long time to be, I mean it is, 4 or 5 years, but you managed to get clean.
Yes, sir.
Good on you. Did you have to go to rehab or recovery for that, or were you able to kick it? You did?
Yep. I went to a rehab, then a sober house for about a year. And then right at the end of the sober house, I get into framing.
Okay, so sober house, what was that like? So you didn't have a job when you were at the sober house?
Oh, yeah. It was $250
you
a
did?
week. I definitely had a job.
Was it like some kind of a sponsored job through the sober house, or was it like, what was it?
Dunks. And then
what's Dunks? Dunkin Donuts.
Yeah, I feel like everybody knows what Dunks is.
Dude, I guess if you said bucks, I would have knew exactly what you're talking about.
I forgot you're West Coast.
Dude, I'm Seattle, bro. Dunks.
Yep,
Okay.
Dunkin Donuts, baby.
Man, like I've never had okay, here's a quickie. I flew in on a red eye near you, and I was like, okay, I'll get to the hotel. We'll rest up before JLC. The rep picks me up. He says, hey, man, you mind if we go check out a couple houses, some decks and stuff? I mean, I'm walking off the plane. I've been up all night. It's 8 a.m. And he goes, okay, I'll take you by Starbucks Dunkin Donuts. I'll get you a coffee. I'm like, cool, I'll go. Yes. And I walk in there. And they're like, okay, and what would you like, sir? I was like, well, I would like something like this. This is what I have from Starbucks. Can you make me this mocha, blah, blah? And they turn around, they go, would you like sugar in it? I'm like, sugar? I don't think I need sugar on top of, okay. I like, okay, go ahead, put the sugar in there. And I couldn't believe, like, they make a chocolate coffee drink and then they put, like, sugar in it.
Extra.
It was like, dude, man, I was lit after that. It was crazy. It was good. But I don't think I would. Next time I'll skip the sugar.
Yeah, not for your blood sugar, right?
It was just a lot. No, it was just a lot.
Cream only.
But yeah, what's your drink? What's your and do you do coffee?
Yes, I do coffee. I'm liking tea a lot more lately, but I do coffee, and my Dunkin's order would be a medium iced caramel swirl with cream only. Is the caramels
medium? How come not a large?
I'm a martyr. I like to think I don't need another one, but.
Hey, we all have a vice, bro. I do caffeine as well. Like, I have a really nice espresso machine at home, but then I only use that on the weekends. Like, my wife and I will do, it's like an art form of creating coffee, right? But during the week, if I'm on the grind, and I'm like you, I'll have a mocha, but I always order, I call it a medicine ball. It's a honey citrus mint tea that they make. And they're really good. I'm like, give me a medicine ball. I said a venti, and give me 5 pumps of honey in that, because I figured it out. I've had so many of these things. I've tried it with their standard pump, and then 3 pumps, and then I've had 6. So that's too much. 4 is not quite enough. Give me 5. I was like, ooh, they hit the jackpot on that one. So these people, I've been going a lot this week. So they go, hey, you want your regular? I'm like, because I have the little camera they can see out in the drive-thru. I'm pulling my F550 through the drive-thru. This big old truck. I figured out exactly where the tires rub on the curb.
Yeah.
The front wheel's hitting on the one side, but it's not hitting the speaker or the speaker box, and then the right rear is just tagging the other curb. But I get in there, and it's kind of fun because I get to know the manager and everybody else at the store. But that's a $12 a day habit.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
For 2 drinks, but it gets me going in the morning, and then it gets me zen because I do the coffee first and then the tea. So I dig the tea. What do you do for tea?
I like that. I like the coffee, then the tea. I just do like either green tea or just honey lemon. I'm a tea novice. Mm-hmm. I will say that.
Oh, okay.
Very new,
all right.
Very.
It's not a bad thing though.
Oh, it's great. When I do it, I'm like, you are the master. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I love it. Okay, so then you got sober, you went to a sober house. So you worked at Dunkin Donuts for a year?
About 6 months, and then the other 6 months I worked at a factory making like the large size Jenga, which is basically a 2x4 block that's 9 inches. So it was all day on the chop saw, or all day on the router table, or thank God the Jamaican guy Kevin did it, all day in the sanding booth. And those are my first reps ever on power tools, and pretty cool.
That is. So you actually worked for a company that made life-size Jenga.
Or Connect 4. They did a wooden Connect 4, but we had to use this big sliding Delta table saw, and it was a lot of safety steps at a place like that.
And how old are you at this point?
22. The beginning of 22, so like early.
So you're 22 years old. You got some carpentry tool usage under your belt now.
Yep.
And you decide you got where did that from that carpentry job or the games you were making, then it turned into a framing position somewhere?
Yep.
And how did that work out? Or how did that start?
So the gentleman who actually got me into the place that helped save my life for a year, he had framed houses, and he had mentioned, he said, "Hey kid, you ever want a job? $15 cash, $600 at the end of the week. You can come frame houses with me."
Okay.
And I was like, all right, you know what? Let me call Brendo and let me see if I can get a job. Because at the time I was making 12 on the books, plus 3, no tax. Simple math, right?
Simple. Yeah, it's nice to have a wad of hundreds in your pocket at the end of the week, man.
Yeah.
As long as you're not snorted up your nose, you're good.
Amen. I didn't. He was sober too, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, no, but he was working with him was awesome, and there was my introduction to construction.
Okay. And you're 22 years old about?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if you've noticed, but I like to establish a timeline.
I like that.
Of as we go along, we're knowing how old you are and what you're up to. I guess it's the only way I can make sense of this whole thing, but it's enjoyable this way for me. So, and that's really all that matters. I'm just kidding.
Amen. No, you're right. Why else do it?
Hey, so no, actually, it's kind of for me. Calvin suggested we do this. It's been over a year now. You're number 54? 53. You're our 53rd podcast guest that we've had on this. We do one a week, or we try to. Obviously, I'm out of town sometimes, and we can't do that. But anyway, I think it's evolved a little bit, but I've always kind of wanted to know about the guests. And the people that do enjoy the podcast, they enjoy learning about the guests as well. And I get that all the time. Like, I just saw you last week, but I had 20 other people talk about the podcast and how they really enjoyed learning about such and such or so-and-so. So that's a really cool way to get your information out there, but also create an interesting listen, right? So you're 22 years old. You're framing. So framing what? Like framing houses?
Yep. A lot of new construction framing, a little bit of remodeling. And I'm the young guy on the crew, and I'm the guy who says, "Oh, where's the clamp?" When we go to cut a 2x4, and they're like, "Put your foot up. There's no clamp. Like cut the block. Hurry up."
Yeah. It's a little different than in the warehouse factory. Yeah.
I always say it's kind of what made me a man. A lot of kids don't make it through like those first 2 years, and
especially like December through March.
Outside, baby, the whole time.
Okay, so that's my next question is like, how did you handle, especially being so young, not being properly equipped, possibly with the right gear? How do you navigate getting through some of that? Like, there must have been days where you're like, you could barely stand it.
Dude, there are plenty of times where I'm like, this fucking sucks. And I tell my foreman, I'm like, can we do a half day? He's like, half day? 12 hours. You know what I mean? Come on, man.
Yeah.
It was tough, dude. It was tough. And honestly, if I hadn't, gotten my head straight and really wanted to do it, and like, to be honest, Doc, I fell in love with it, dude. I really like the pace, the crew, the brotherhood. I won't get into this too much, but I didn't really grow up with a big male role model in my life, like a good one. So
understood.
Yeah, really, it brought out in me like what it takes to be like, I don't know if you want to call it gritty or because like
Oh.
framing houses in the snow like just takes a,
Dude, that's
it's
talk about grit. That'll give you some real grit real quick. Yeah, framing in the snow, not for me, man. I'll work in the rain a lot, and there's some days where I'm like, you know what? I'm just like, hey, come on, it's too much.
dude. I see it. I see it. I'm like, holy crap.
It's mental, man. It is freaking mental, especially after doing it for like 35 years. It's like, it's mental. By March, I'm just like I just made it through March. I got one more month of like, they say around here is April showers bring May rain.
How many easy ups you go through a year?
Oh, dude. Like, well, since we've upgraded to extreme canopy, those guys make a pretty good tent. If we could keep them upright in the trailer and not have crap knocked all over them while I'm driving, then they'd probably last a lot longer. But I've actually watched 2 easy ups fold within 10 minutes of each other on a job site before, because we had 80 mile an hour gusts, and I'm just lucky they didn't blow away on somebody's roof, and I was responsible for all that. But we strap them down really heavy, but the legs were weak. I bought them at Costco, this business Costco commercial location, and the manufacturer cheaped out on something, and they just fold the Caravan brand, and they just folded right at the point where you raise them up,
Yep.
and then you lock them in, and they just. I was like, oh no, we just lost a tent. Crap. 10 minutes later, oh no, we just lost them both. And so now we use a brand. We've had some pretty violent winds, and we just they're like a hex shaped. They have like a hex shaped leg, and they're just really stable. And they have spring loaded tensioners in the ceiling. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna spend $2,000 on this tent, and it's bigger. We now use a 10 by 15 instead of a 10 by 10. So we have a 10 by 15 as our main tent, and then we have a 10 by 10 in a less heavy duty version of that same brand. That we sometimes will just use over our chop saw, even though we have a chop shop over the chop saw. Sometimes it's just nice to have an easy up over the chop saw, because sometimes somebody's standing there for like hours at a time just cutting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just to get out of the rain for like a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes can kind of save you like during a day. There's just sometimes where I'm just like, ugh.
I've been watching your content for a while, and I always see your rain gear, and I'm like, I wonder how many tents he goes through.
Yeah, tents, rain jackets.
Yep.
I got to give a shout out to Block Lotter. I'm wearing some right now. I came straight from the job site today, so I'm still in my work gear. But Block Lotter has finally come out with some really great like sport fit hoodies, and then I've been asking for 5 years. I'm like, guys, when are you gonna do like a Gore-Tex shell style jacket? And they finally came out with one, and they sent me prototypes because they knew I was like jonesing for it. And I go, it's blue. And they're like, sorry, Jason, that's the only color we have. At least we have an extra large. I'm a 2X. Nope. Here you go. This is what you get.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll wear it. I'll take it. So the first day I had it, I was doing some glue ups, and I got super glue all over it, and it just ruined it. I was so pissed because they're like $300, for these coats. But anyways, they do make a decent, it's not like, you can go out and spend $600 on an Arc'teryx jacket, right? And I used to do that. I'd go to REI because they're a local company. I just walk in and go to the Beta, the Arc'teryx, and I need a Beta SV or something. And they're like, oh, the model number's like, well, kind of. Like, I'm not a mountain climber, but I work outside for longer than those guys are climbing mountains for. So.
Yeah.
Except, I'm carrying lumber, and they go, well, we can't warranty the shoulders because what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I just want some really good gear, man. Said, just give me your best jacket you got. Well, that would be the $650 one right here. I'm like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But I think for a working guy, like, you just get 2 of those instead of the one. Because where I work or where I live, you don't, it doesn't matter how good your rain gear is. You're going to get wet.
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to get wet. It's going to soak through. Something's going to, you're just not going to stay dry all day. So sometimes I just have a spare set, and I'll just swap them out. And then when I get home at night, everything gets hung in the downstairs shower to dry out overnight. And then on it goes again the next day.
It's the same up here with the snow.
Yeah. 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 I imagine, like, what's your trick? Do you have any tricks or tips for working in the snow?
Like when we were
it.
framing this this El Salvadorian guy, food service gloves, the plastic food service gloves, then these white mittens. these white mittens were the best because, dude, you can't wear something insulated or bulky and reach into your pouch all day, right? It's a pain. It's a pain. And I always have these young new guys wear these big, thick gloves. I'm like, all right, try it out. Michelin Man hands, it doesn't work.
How's that working for you, man?
Yep. He goes to grab his tape and he's taking it off. And
yeah, we do the same trick with the liner, or we use we'll buy the neoprene or whatever you call them, vinyl glove liners or whatever, the kind like they use it in the hospital.
Yeah, nitrile or whatever.
Yeah, nitrile, yeah. And sometimes those work great, but I've noticed in colder weather, sometimes they don't let your hands warm up as well. So it's a flip. Like it depends on how cold it is and how wet it is. Like for us, we always have a wet cold. Like, I don't know if it's like that where you're at or if it's a drier cold. Like
I have been told there's more humidity here, but that was somebody from my sister from Reno where there's zero humidity. Like how cold does it get where you are? Like, what's the low in January?
Well, in the teens.
Yeah, here it's usually January is usually -10 to gets up to 10 or 15. But yeah, pretty close. Pretty close, honestly.
Not quite. Yeah, but see, we'll warm up during the day. Like it might get down to 20, 23 degrees, and that's cold for us. Like, dang. We've had it down in 9 degrees before. I think we've hit 0 a couple times, maybe. But it always warms up during the day usually. It's pretty rare for us to have a cold snap unless something comes down from Canada and blows in, and then it might keep it at freezing for several days.
Yeah.
And that's when we have our frozen ground. Like, people are always upset with me because I don't have to dig my footings 4 feet deep. I said, you should be happy for me, man. You shouldn't be upset with me because of that. What's the matter with you people? For goodness sake.
People up
you know
here
what I'm
say
saying?
This guy's a jerk. Come on.
Well, yeah, and then I get the guys from your area, oh, it's too rocky here. We could never do those helical piles that you use. I'm like, well, there's dudes using them all over the joint, so somebody's figured it out.
I've been using them.
And yeah, I mean, but you guys are probably 48 inches there, right?
Oh yeah. Well, what is it for you? 2 feet? 3 feet?
Well, we have to do a minimum of 4 feet if we're gonna use a helical, but if we're only pouring concrete, we can go down 12 inches.
Wow, helical's 6 feet here. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, that's what we aim for, unless we go to refusal. If we hit 4,000 psi, that's like 8,000 foot-pounds of torque or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're good. But okay, so get back on track here. So you're 22 years old. You're starting to frame, and how long did you do that for?
About 4 or 5 years.
Okay,
and it was good. It was really good. And what made me kind of get frustrated with it in a way was the guy who knew how to cut rafters and stairs, not necessarily the foreman, but it's not like they didn't there was a little bit of gatekeeping going on. Cause if I knew that and I'm getting really good really quick, I might take his job kind of thing. But the ceiling wasn't too high, but I loved it, man. It was still some of my best times. I don't know if it's cause I was in my early 20s, but framing houses was awesome. There's a crew, a brotherhood, but yeah, I did it for its period of time, and then I switched over to remodeling.
Okay. And when you switched over to remodeling, was that with another company?
Yep.
Okay, and you're about 25?
6 or 7. 26, I think.
Okay, 26. So you're 26, and then you start working for a remodeler. And what was that entail? What did you do for the remodeler?
A little bit of everything, and at first it kind of sucked because the pace went way down. I went from getting a lot done in a day to, okay, we need to straighten and fur out this wall, and we need to pull out strings, and we need to make sure it's perfectly straight. And it was no more just as how fast can you slam 2x4s down,
I guess, yeah, I get it. 100% understand where you're coming from. A lot of people don't understand. There's a couple different ways you can build a deck. There's the framer way. Or the house framer that they're building a new house, and the framer builds the deck as well. And then there's the artisan, the craftsman, and it can vary for so much. It can vary so much that it's crazy. How much you can actually go deep into your craft, right? So that made you slow down a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
And you're not used to that in general. Like your personality is not
Oh no,
so much,
no, I
you
struggled.
know.
Honestly, my first year remodeling, I struggled a lot to the point where, like, I don't know, like I adjusted. Obviously, like
Hmm.
you adapt and you overcome and you figure it out. And it was where I'm at now. It was good for me, like that timeline, right? Like 4 years framing, 3 years remodeling or whatever. It was really good for me to like have that experience because like I'm in nicer houses now where like you have to wear booties. You can't just like, dude, there's a guy pooping in the dumpster or something, it's weird
Yeah,
stuff. Like a framing crew, like
hate it when
nobody's
that
around. Like
happens.
I'm in somebody's house and the other half of the house is like, you know what I mean? Being
Yeah,
renovated.
yeah. So okay, so how long did you do that for?
About 3 years, 3-ish years. So like 4 years framing, 3 years doing that. So I had about like 7 or 8 years under my belt before I took the leap and kind of went and did my own thing.
Okay, so you put in 4 years framing houses, 4 to 5, and then you went into 3 years of remodeling,
Yep.
which is really good. It's a really good base for you. So you understand basically you understand the complete construction of a home by this 7-8 year apprenticeship you've been through, I'd say.
Yeah, and there was a 6 month stint I had in there after I was done framing, or like in between remodeling. I took a break from remodeling, went back to like this really high end framer around here. It was on like a $30 million home on the on
Dang.
the seacoast, and that was like one of the coolest experiences I've had. Like
Yeah.
every wall was a radius. The framing crew I came from, we could do like a 4K square foot house in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This like it was like almost 2 weeks on one wall because there was like 4 tie downs with the Simpson strong ties, 76 nails. There's shade pockets, triple LVLs with a shade pocket on it. And for like regular people, like a lot of hardware on one wall, and every wall is a curve or a radius.
Hmm.
It was pretty cool.
Sounds like it'd be up my alley, man.
Oh, you would love it. You would love it.
Oh, I bet. That's cool that you're able to go into some really high end stuff because I think that, you've got the base where you're a framer and as long as it's within a half an inch, you're cool. And then you get into, interior remodeling, which you got to be closer to like an eighth. And then you get into some fine carpentry where you just got to be on point.
Great
There's
way to
no
put it.
off point. It's got to be perfect all the time. And that's kind of like our finish work on an exterior. When you're doing, and we, as far as a deck builder, there's not much we can caulk or paint or, we can use a heat gun to erase a blemish or a scratch, and we can use Cortex to hide some things. But for the most part, if the cut sucks, you're reusing. You're not reusing that part. You're throwing it away or using it for a shorter piece, and you're cutting another one. So I do appreciate fine craftsmanship on the inside and the outside of the house. We've been touring a lot of homes lately and watching some of that come in and some of the like fine woodworking that's going on. And I have really enjoyed my time going to these different these homes and meeting some of these people that do this work. So you get to an end road of your remodeling career where you're like, okay, I think it's time for me to start doing my own thing. And you're 27 or you're 30 years old? How old
I
are
think
you
I
now?
was 20. I was just about to turn 29. I think about like 28-ish. I'm like, let's give it a shot. And by then I had done a couple decks on the side, and I met a contractor who needed a deck, and then I met a woman. I made a business card, and I just like alliteration. That's why I went with Waters Woodworking. I was like, it sounds cool because I didn't want to be
It
NW
does.
Construction. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. No, I like it. It is. It's good. It's catchy. It's funny because it's your last name, and it's a common word, but it's not used too much in what you're doing with it.
Right.
It's a cool vibe, like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Waters Woodworking. Right on.
Well, same with Dr.
Right on.
Dex. Sounds
Well,
cool.
you can thank my wife for that one. She's the one that came up with it like 36 years ago or something like that.
Wow.
I know, it's been a minute. All right, so then what did you start specializing in as Waters Woodworking?
Pretty much the most we did were decks, but to be honest,
Yeah?
as a young company coming up, especially starting out working for general contractors while I'm getting my name and portfolio out there, sliders, siding, a lot of rot repair. You name it. I think my first year I was blessed enough. We did do quite a few decks, and yeah, unfortunately around here in New Hampshire, there's no licensing, and I wish I didn't say that because it's like the Wild West. There was like a lot of jobs I did where like somebody just took off and like they did a frame of a deck, and now I have to tell them like, hey, look, we got to spend some time just fixing this like crap framing. I'm going to put decking on this, and you're going to say, why does it look like the ocean?
Which you can't really tell until you put the decking down. Then it's like, ooh. Then you're walking up the stairs and you're like, what is that? What has happened? And yeah, it's awful, isn't it?
Right. Well, a 14 and a half bay used to be something, but like, dude, an 18-inch bay, you're going to feel that when you walk on it. Like it should be 12, a foot on center, especially PT.
Yeah.
And I feel like the PT's gone so downhill. It's like, I'm very like this year I'm trying to sell like the OC or some of the stuff you guys use. We're
moving into PWT right now. But again, if you want to hear why, go to the Patreon. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And I'll give you some of my philosophy on all this whole movement of alternate framing materials coming up. All right. So you're building some decks. Now, were you building decks in the winter as well?
If it was in the winter, it was like a deck remodel where we just reused the footings. People around here, it all depends on the budget, right? And can be anywhere. But some people were like, yeah, let's reuse the framing of the deck. And like almost more often than not, every time, especially with old pressure treated wood, I'm like, we need to sister this. We need to reblock this. We need to change these 5. And, basically from the girder beam down, we can save that. But, joists that have screws in it with no membrane they get beat up in New England pretty bad.
What's the use, huh?
Yep. But as a young starting company, I did a little bit of everything,
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yeah, but luckily we did a lot of decks. And every season I've done since my first year, which was 28 and 32, about 4 years in. This is the 4th year. We've done about 20 decks a year. Well, maybe the first year was like 15 to 20, but 20 up. And, small to big, remodel to full build, you name it.
Okay. So what else do you do besides decks?
Well, like I was saying in the beginning, in the winter, like we've done some siding. I do a lot of like doors and windows. The projects the big companies can't get to, but sometimes, and not necessarily all smaller. I've kind of renovated my house quite a bit. I pretty much say we do anything that doesn't involve like a trowel, dude. Like I'm not doing drywall these days, but I have, hung some drywall, little kitchen here, bathroom there. But mainly like door and window installs, some siding, a lot of framing. Not many skylights or anything, but yeah, pretty much shiplap. A lot of the rustic look was big when I started coming up. That started, the rustic look or the modern look. A lot of shiplap, a lot of just barnwood installs. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, like solar panels for an attic. I got like 3 of those on my first year, which was just sister the rafters, and go. You know what I mean? Which is pretty cut and dry on my end.
Cool. So what do you have lined up right now, and what do you have coming down the pipeline?
We have a 4-season swap out that's going from like 4 old sliders to 6 brand new Marvin windows with a new Marvin slider. And then I'm trying. Once that one's over, it's just deck.
Wow.
Which I have one where we're using this. It's from a brand called DMG Hardwoods, and they call it navy decking, and it's like a kind of a cedar decking material, which is kind of cool. Another one where we're thinking about using the Embrico tile decks. That's at like the Hampton Falls project I've been on. They want a stone tile deck, which I think is cool because those involve like track systems as opposed to like traditional framing materials. Like I said, I am trying to use alternative framing materials this year. And if I can't, at least like the upgraded pressure treated that's, kept indoors. So hopefully each, joist is the same size.
Sure.
But a lot of decks, like from all sizes, you know what I mean? And I do get some repeat customers, so we will be doing some like a window install here, like the Four Season conversion is a repeat customer. But yeah, just really starting to line them up like a 16 by 20 with, you know, 2 simple staircases. I've got a pool deck coming up. That's just, you know, the pressure treated framing and some Trex with some wood rails, you know. They just want to be able to get to the pool, nothing fancy, staircase up it. But, you know, those are fun because
Okay.
you get to cut the radius, build the radius.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. Again, something else we can talk about in the Patreon is like pricing. How are you figuring out the prices for these projects, and how much competition? Yeah, that's something I would like to know. Like, how much competition do you have in your area as far as deck builders go?
Dude, it's like where there's no licensing, I see more and more contractors and builders I've never seen before. And honestly, the competitions it's pretty like
Yeah.
I'm not getting every job I get, but I'm also, like I say, I probably won't be the most expensive, don't have a huge company, huge overhead, but I also will not be the cheapest. And that's just like, I know what I'm worth by now, and we've done enough of them. Like, you know what's into it? Like, I don't want to cheap out. I don't want to
Yep.
use the cheapest products and not have joist tape and not, you know, have a
Yeah.
lumber to put 12 on center, or use like the scalloped Trex boards because they end up looking, I don't know. I'll use them, but you know what I mean?
Oh, I do. I actually, it's funny you say so, because I'll give somebody a price and I go, this is for if you want wood or if you want AZEK. This is the same price. I don't really charge less, not much. I might give you a discount for a wood. I haven't done a wood topped deck. And the last wood decks I was doing were hardwoods. I mean, it's been 20 years.
Wow. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Crazy. Well, hey, Nick, thanks again for being on our podcast. I don't think we quite got through everything, but what a great history, man. It's cool to see people that fall into addiction and that are able to pull themselves out of that and took their lumps along the way, but then made something of themselves. And I'm really proud of you for that, man, because I think that there's a lot of people, and I'm going to say it, and if you don't want this in here, you can tell Calvin right now and he can take it out. But I know it's cool. I think it's cool with you. But out of the next 6 guests I have lined up, 3 have succumbed to heroin addiction. And they've all pulled themselves out of it. And it's so awesome to hear that. I just talked to a guy this morning, and I didn't know that he was a former addict. And he works for a very reputable company that I purchased products through. And he told me today, he goes, yeah, man, I'm a recovering heroin addict. I'm like, really? Wow, it's fascinating. Because I'm trying to figure out, like, how do so many people get lured in and hooked on this stuff? You know? So if you want to hear more from Nick about this, go to Patreon, hit subscribe, guys. Until then, Nick, Waters Construction Corporation, right?
Waters Woodworking Corp.
Oh,
That's all right, Doc. It's all right.
I had it, man. I had it. I thought I had it. Waters Woodworking Corp. Oration.
S Corp. I don't know. Waters Woodworking.
No, it's Corp. Waters Woodworking. I thought, yeah, let's go with that. So, Nick, thank you so much for being here. Again, how do we get a hold of you, Nick, if we want to ask you a question, or if somebody may have a personal question for you? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I do have an Instagram that is Waters Woodworking NH, all one word, or Facebook, just Nick Waters. And I could, I do have could pull up a business card, I guess, but either of those 2 is probably good enough.
All right. Yeah, if they want to talk to you that badly, they'll find you.
I'm easy to find.
All right, Nick. Thanks again. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you are. And thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Have a good day. Over and out.